Did Laura Loomer just help pick the next leader of NASA? It's a wild thought, isn't it? When you think about who influences major appointments in our nation's space program, you probably picture scientists, astronauts, maybe high-level military officials or seasoned politicians. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of experts on space policy and the national security threats we face, especially from nations like China. So how is it that a totally unexpected, often controversial voice might be the one to finally break through all the noise? For the better part of a decade, I've felt a bit like a modern-day Paul Revere. I've been riding across the digital landscape, shouting from the rooftops, trying to warn everyone about what I see as the single greatest threat to America's national and economic security. That threat is China's military-controlled space program. It's an ambition to dominate the moon. My background isn't just casual observation. I've worked on space-related issues for the Pentagon. I've been involved with NASA. I was even part of the space shuttle team and have experience in the private sector. I've seen the inner workings. I understand the stakes, and I've tried to use that experience to sound the alarm. But for the most part, it felt like my warnings were falling on deaf ears. The message just wasn't getting through the disinterest, the ignorance, and frankly, the powerful special interests that often cloud these discussions. It's frustrating because the evidence is right there. We're talking about China's clear and stated goal to establish a permanent presence on the moon. This isn't science fiction. It's a strategic objective. A Chinese base on the moon isn't just about planting a flag. It's about controlling the ultimate high ground. From the moon, you can control near-Earth space. It's lunar space, that vast area between the Earth and the moon, and all the critical satellite infrastructure that our modern lives depend on. Everything from GPS to financial transactions to military communications runs through space. Losing control there means losing a lot more than just a space race. The People's Republic of China has been incredibly strategic about this. They've pursued a methodical, long-term plan. They've developed heavy-lift rockets, lunar landers, and rovers. They're building a space station in low Earth orbit as a stepping stone. They've even landed on the far side of the moon, a feat no other nation has accomplished. This isn't just for scientific exploration. It's a calculated move for geopolitical dominance. You see space not just as the final frontier for humanity, but as the next battlefield, the next arena for global power projection. And while they've been sprinting, America has, in many ways, been jogging in place. We've had starts and stops, budget cuts, and shifting priorities. The Artemis program is a fantastic and necessary response, aiming to return American astronauts to the moon. But is the urgency truly felt across Washington? Is there a national consensus that this is a priority we cannot afford to lose? That's been the question that has kept me up at night. I've written articles, given speeches, and talked to anyone who would listen. But breaking through the inertia has been a monumental task. Then, something strange happened. Laura Loomer, a figure known for her provocative and often polarizing political commentary, entered the conversation. She started talking about the China threat in space. She started questioning the leadership at NASA and whether they were truly equipped to handle this challenge. Suddenly, the topic wasn't just confined to niche policy forums or defense journals. It was being discussed by a completely different audience, in a completely different way. Now, regardless of what you think about her methods or her politics, you can't deny she got people's attention. She brought a level of raw, unfiltered energy to the issue that it hadn't seen before. The conversation exploded on social media. People who had never thought about cislunar space were suddenly debating the strategic importance of the moon. And in doing so, she shone a massive spotlight on the very warnings that experts like myself had been trying to deliver for years. It's a fascinating case study in modern communication. Sometimes the most polished, well-reasoned arguments from an expert just don't have the same impact as a loud, persistent voice from an unexpected corner. It highlights a critical problem in our cluttered information environment. Sometimes it's not the substance of the message that matters, but the volume and the controversy surrounding the messenger. Did she get every detail right? Maybe not. Was her approach the one I would have chosen? Definitely not. But did she force a national conversation that was long overdue? This brings us back to the central question. Who should lead NASA at this critical juncture? The next NASA administrator can't just be a scientist or an engineer. They need to be a wartime leader. Someone who understands that we are in a new kind of Cold War, one that's being fought in the vacuum of space. They need the strategic vision to counter China's moves, the political savvy to secure the necessary funding from Congress, and the ability to rally the American people behind a unified, urgent national goal. We need someone who sees the moon not just as a destination for flags and footprints, but as the strategic high ground of the 21st century. This isn't about replaying the Apollo era. It's about securing our future. The economic prosperity and national security of the United States for the next century could be decided by who wins this race to the moon. It's about ensuring that the rules and norms of space are written by free nations, not by an authoritarian regime. So, while it might seem absurd on the surface, the noisy intervention of a political firebrand may have inadvertently done the nation a service. It woke people up, forced the issue into the light. It created an environment where the qualifications for NASA's next leader are being scrutinized more intensely than ever before. We can't afford to get this wrong. The person who takes the helm of NASA next will have the monumental task of securing America's future in space. And we need to make sure they are up to the challenge. The stakes are simply too high to settle for anything less. The future of the final frontier depends on it. Thanks for watching. If you found this perspective interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. We'll be diving deeper into the specifics of China's space program and what the US needs to do to win. See you next time.